Hello and welcome back everyone to Master Game Design, Unreal Engine 5 Stylized environment and third-person blueprint course. In the last lesson we left ourselves off with a nice alleyway, and now we're going to continue on with the overall setup and actually make do with a building over in this section over here. So the way we're going to do it is we're actually going to use of the blocks that we already created, but instead of using these, what we want is actually we want to make some nice customizations throughout this type of building. Since if we even look at the gray box itself, we can see that the building itself has a lot of detail and has a lot of different blocks and whatnot. So we got to make sure that we basically customize the blocks and make use of what we have to basically create a unique design out of it. So for us to do that, we're going to firstly grab the blocks that we have over here. I'm just going to go all the way to the side like so. And the ones that we're going to make use out of is mainly going to be this one over here actually. So let's go ahead and do that. We're going to grab it, and we're also going to grab this one actually as well. I'm going to just simply make it into a group. I'm going to just find this block, select this entire section. Make sure that actually persistent level is selected right now. I'm going to make sure that it's locked down and only this section is selected. I'm going to hit Ctrl G to group it up. Going to do the same thing for this lower block as well. Ctrl G to group it up. Now we have these nice blocks grouped up nicely. So we're going to hold Alt. We're going to, like it hasn't duplicated, going to hold Alt. And it says it's locked down. The reason being I need to make sure that harbor item is highlighted. It's the one that's being selected for the level, which we can also do, by the way, through here, through this section over here. So then we can hold Alt, and there we go. It's going to get ourselves a duplicated section, just like that. And now we just make sure that it's placed normally within the scene. So what we're going to do is we're just going to actually grab them a little bit up higher. And I want to ideally grab the same height, so it would give us a nice silhouette off to the side for the gray box. So it's going to be in the same kind of a section. So the way we're going to do it is we're just going to search for a roof. So Egyptian harbor pack, meshes, roof, and we're going to actually grab this one over here. So as you can see, this one is actually quite a bit smaller. We're going to make it a bit larger and just fit in this silhouette like so. And then we're going to work with what we have basically. We're going to maybe extend it like so as well, just like that. Not too worried about it stretching out. Because for this particular roof, it's going to be not too much of an issue. It doesn't have any of symbols or anything of the sort, so it's going to be quite nice and easy to do just that. Something like so, and it's going to be quite all right, just like that. All right, so now we have these parts to work with. We're going to go ahead and make use out of them. I'm going to hold Alt and just kind of start building it up from what we have. And this particular part, I could probably extend it in regards to its size actually. I'm going to go ahead and do that. Since it's quite a bit of a larger building, it's also going to scale up the columns on the side, which in this particular case, I think is going to be quite all right to support this overall size of a building. And yeah, we're just going to go ahead and build it out like so with using certain blocks, just like that. I'm going to maybe put it off to the side a little bit. Actually, I'll keep it on this area like so, and maybe put something extra over here using this section like so. I'm going to hold Alt, put it off to the side just like that, and like so. Nothing fancy, nothing complicated. We're just keeping up with the pace and making sure that overall design looks quite all right in regards to just the main layout basically. So then another block over here, and then afterwards we're going to be working in regards to this setup overall. So we're going to see what we can do with that. Make this a little bit scaled up as well, something like that. Looks quite all right. Go ahead and keep it as is. Now we can go ahead and finally close down the gray box and kind of play around with the shapes and whatnot, see what we can do with them, play around with the overall design. I'm going to actually select all of these building blocks that we just set up ourselves with. We're going to go to the outliner and add it onto a new folder. Just going to select the folder and rename this into a nice name. something like mid-house mansion or something, so it's in the middle of the map. It doesn't really matter how we name it, to be honest. It's more for our own sakes. So we're going to look, we're going to be able to remember what they're called. All right, so now we're going to grab maybe certain roofs over here for this section. I'm going to straight away actually just select these blocks that we had. I think this one is actually a separate one, so we'll need to replace it even. I'm going to select this one, hold Alt, and just replace it like so. Since we need to make sure that we're able to have certain control over this section as well. I'm going to go ahead and replace it. And this time, yeah, we're going to basically be able to mold this entire building into a section that's going to be attached to the other buildings and whatnot. So it's going to be a little bit more of a complex process depending on the setup that we have. But it's going to be quite alright. This area over here, for example, I don't want this to be quite as empty. So I'm just going to go ahead and fill it in with blocks as well. Something like this. Nice way of breaking up the surface as well. And yeah, okay, we're going to leave it as is. And this should be in the same folder as well. All right, so quite like this design. Let's go ahead and start playing around with the overall block. So I'm going to click Shift G for the top, going to select the roof, go to the roof section and get a nicer square like so. Going to maybe do this just mainly to break up the overall surface a little bit like so. Maybe I'll move this a little bit to the side. I'm a bit worried that it's going to affect the overall design too much, but it shouldn't cause that. So, two from the top. And I think that's going to be quite alright. Just making sure that it's more centered basically to the overall section. Maybe I'll bring it up out a little bit, just a little bit like so. So it has a nice gap over here. Actually, I don't quite like the gap. Maybe I'll just keep it as is. Bring it a little bit to the back. Yeah, there you go. Looks quite nice. Okay, so this section over here, what do we do about it? Well, we're going to first of all make perhaps a nice type of balcony. So let's go ahead and search for a balcony area. We're going to maybe grab this wall itself actually and either replace it or make this smaller. I'm going to make this smaller like so. Grab a balcony as I said previously, and I'm going to just add a nice balcony section over in this area like so. We're just going to have ourselves a nice area just like that. And I'm worried about this overall section looking a little bit too off. So I'm going to duplicate this, make it a little bit wider. We might need to block off this section over here. Going to search for windows this time. Grab those fancy looking windows over here. Making this building look a bit fancier since it's such a high building. It's going to be more of a maybe like a slum mansion or something of the sort, like this. Going to be looking quite nice. So we gotta make sure that from the bottom it doesn't look too bad. So we gotta drag this down a little bit like so. Actually, I'm going to select this one section as well, dragging it down just like that. That's going to be quite all right. Making sure that this is not too off. So I'm just going to, I might as well just drag this down a little bit as well. And now we got to just fill in the gaps that we have over here. So what do we do about that? Well, the easiest way would probably be to either use the walls that we already have. I'm actually just going to do it like so, just like that. I think that actually works out quite well. So I'm going to go ahead and just do that. This other side is a little bit too thick or too wide. So I'm just going to go ahead and put it up a little bit more to the side. Maybe stretch it out actually a little bit as well. Might as well do that. Or not too much though. The alternative way for this would be to maybe stretch these parts out like so. That might help a little bit. Just like that. I think this looks quite nice. All right, for this section over here, we can make do with what we have and set up a nice roof area perhaps. Go ahead and see what we have. I'm actually going to duplicate it and put it off to the side over here. It's going to look quite nice. Something like this. Not worried about parts going inside and whatnot. If we were making into quite a large game, you'd have to go inside and optimize this. For example, there might be like a lot of parts that are not properly done. inside. So for example, what I would do is I'd press H and just see what's inside and what overlaps too much or like is not basically being used. I'm going to just click Ctrl Z to unhide it. But yeah, the best way to do that would be just to simply click H and see which parts are not being used and whatnot. And yeah, for this part, I'm just going to go ahead and make a nice, something like a balcony or something of the sort over here. Going to search for a roof. Just to grab a nice square roof over here, like so. Put it off to the side. We need to perhaps grab a certain staircase. Just like that. Grab the smallest one there is, basically. Put it off to the side. And just attach it like so. And that looks quite nice. So here, might need a door entrance over in this section. So I'm trying to think what to do in regards to that. The reason being is that this size is a little bit too small. So let's go ahead and search for a door. And we're going to grab ourselves a nice door frame. So maybe something over like this. As you can see, it's way too big. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to drag this down a little bit and make it more proper. I'm not going to make the size too small for the door. And I don't want it to just look off in regards to that. So what I'm going to do is just I'm going to grab these assets over here and just going to drag it down a little bit. Since overall, it's not going to affect the overall aspect of this section too much. This area over here, I wanted to have a bit more of an entrance, maybe like an exit or something of the sort. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a quick balcony for this section. I'm going to click Shift G to ungroup everything for this area. Going to make this smaller. Keep it a fast pace, basically. Maybe I should have replaced it with a smaller width of a wall, but I think that's going to be all right for here. Going to go ahead and search for maybe like a fancier door or something of that sort. Let me just go ahead and find something like that, maybe. Maybe even something like this would be looking quite nice. Going to check how this looks like. And I'm not quite sure if I like this actually or not. So yeah, I don't quite like this actually. I'll go ahead and remove it. I'll add a simple door. Again, I'll probably just use this one. Really up to you though. And I'll just add it off to the side like so. So this one is being touched with the pillar. So I'll just bring it in a little bit. Might be quite a small narrow area, but I think that's going to be quite all right. I'm going to go ahead and actually just duplicate this wall. Put it off to the side just like that. Bringing it downwards, or sorry, not bringing it downwards, bringing it off to the side, like that. And I will need to bring it upwards. So, something like that. I think that's quite alright. For this block, I might just duplicate this block and just bring it upwards, like this. Making sure that the other side is not overlapped with this. Quite alright. And now this section over here, I might do something similar to what I did over in this area. Just going to hold Alt, duplicate this area like so. And maybe even bring it a little bit higher up. So it's not going to be completely symmetrical, but it's going to make it look like, you know, slight kind of urban, that sort of a look, which has a lot of broken up parts and whatnot, a lot of pieces like that. So I'm going to go ahead and do just that. I'm going to just put it off like this to the side. And I just realized there is a gap over here. I totally forgot about that. So before I forget, I'm going to go on to the flatten tool. Going to just select this section, and it says the wrong layer. So let me just go ahead, make sure that the layer is properly selected. And now I'm going to go ahead and do that, which I'll need to make sure I unlock the persistent level. Make the brush quite a bit smaller and just make sure I fix this section real quick. There you go, something like that. Going to be quite alright. Making sure that outside is not set up in a weird way. I think that's going to be quite okay. Alright, so going to go ahead and lock this down. Going to go back to the selection mode, and yeah, we still have a bit of a way to go, so we're going to continue on with this in the next lesson. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll be seeing you in a bit.